5 years ago, I married Amanda, the love of my life. We had big dreams, shared values, and a future mapped out together. Then she took that job at Elite Strategies, and everything changed. Within months, my warm, family-oriented wife transformed into someone I barely recognized. Her colleagues convinced her that our life together was holding her back from success. They systematically turned her against everything we once valued, including me. Before I reveal how my wife became a stranger in our own home, let me know where you are watching from and subscribe if you have ever witnessed someone you love change before your eyes. Amanda and I met at a small bookstore coffee shop in our hometown. I was browsing through the architecture section when I accidentally knocked over her stack of marketing books. As I scrambled to pick them up, apologizing profusely, she laughed and said it was the most interesting introduction she had experienced in years. We ended up talking until the bookstore closed, and I asked for her number before we parted ways. Our connection was immediate and powerful. I was drawn to her creativity and warmth, while she appreciated my practical, steady nature. I worked as a construction manager for a local development company, building homes and commercial properties throughout the county. Amanda had just landed a job at Hometown Marketing, a small firm that specialized in promoting local businesses. We complemented each other perfectly, my feet on the ground, her head in the clouds of possibility. Within 8 months, I proposed. We married in a simple ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. Neither of us wanted to start our life together in debt, so we kept everything modest. Our first apartment was small but cozy, and we spent weekends hunting for unique furniture at thrift shops and estate sales. Every piece had a story just like us. Family meant everything to both of us. Sunday dinners alternated between her parents and mine. We spent holidays surrounded by siblings, nieces, nephews, and the joyful chaos of people who genuinely cared for each other. Amanda and I often talked about having children of our own, dreaming about the family traditions we would continue and the new ones we would create. We lived frugally, saving every extra dollar toward a down payment on a house. Amanda would clip coupons while I would handle home repairs myself, rather than hiring professionals. When we finally purchased our first home, a modest 3-bedroom in a family-friendly neighborhood, we felt like we had achieved something meaningful together. The night we moved in, we sat on our back porch drinking cheap champagne, planning where we would plant a garden and which room would eventually become a nursery. Amanda enjoyed her work at Hometown Marketing, but after 3 years, she began to feel restricted. The small company had limited growth opportunities, and while the owner treated everyone like family, the salary caps were real. Amanda was ambitious, and I always admired that about her. When she expressed frustration about hitting a professional ceiling, I encouraged her to explore other options. The call from the recruiter at Elite Strategies came unexpectedly. They had seen a campaign Amanda designed for a local restaurant chain that had gone viral regionally. The interview process was intense, 5 rounds of increasingly difficult challenges, but Amanda shined. When she received the offer with a salary nearly double her current one, we celebrated. Yes, the commute would be longer, almost an hour each way into the city. Yes, the hours might be more demanding, but this was her chance to grow professionally while doing what she loved. I still remember her first day. She wore a new outfit we had splurged on, her favorite pair of earrings I had given her for our anniversary, and the brightest smile. I took a photo of her by the front door, so proud of what she had accomplished. I never imagined that day would mark the beginning of the end of the life we had built. The changes were subtle at first. Amanda started using corporate jargon that felt foreign coming from her usually straightforward mouth. Words like synergy and leverage and value proposition peppered her dinner conversations. She began checking her phone constantly, even during our traditional movie nights. When I mentioned it, she explained that her team expected immediate responses, even after hours. I swallowed my concerns, believing this was just an adjustment period. Through Amanda's stories, I felt like I knew her key colleagues before I ever met them. Jessica, her immediate supervisor, was a sharp-dressed woman in her mid-30s who had never been married and lived for her career. Zachary, the department head, was described as charismatic and brilliant, with connections throughout the industry. But it was Tara, the senior executive, who took a special interest in Amanda, who concerned me most from the descriptions alone. Amanda spoke of her with an almost reverential tone, describing how Tara had broken through the glass ceiling by prioritizing excellence over sentimentality. The first real warning sign came on my 33rd birthday. Amanda had promised to meet me at my favorite restaurant, where both our families waited to surprise me. She texted 30 minutes after the reservation. Critical client situation. Zachary needs all hands on deck. Rain check. I made excuses to our disappointed families, but the hurt lingered. Later, I saw on social media that the critical situation included cocktails and smiles. Amanda's appearance began to change as well. Her comfortable, casual style gave way to sleek business attire that cost more than our monthly mortgage payment. She colored her naturally brown hair blonde after Jessica suggested it would help her look the part of success. When I expressed shock at the credit card statement, Amanda explained that investing in her professional image was necessary for advancement. Our last normal holiday was Thanksgiving 4 months after she started at Elite. Although Amanda was on her phone intermittently throughout the day, she still made her traditional pumpkin pie and laughed with her siblings. I caught glimpses of my wife that day, not knowing how rare those moments would become. By the 3-month mark at Elite Strategies, Amanda's transformation accelerated at an alarming pace. Our home became a pit stop where she slept and showered between workdays. Mornings found her checking emails before her eyes fully opened. Evenings she spent on her laptop responding to urgent requests that somehow always emerged right as we sat down to dinner. Weekends, once sacred family time, were now filled with optional team-building events that Amanda insisted were mandatory in all but name. My sister is having her baby shower next Saturday. I reminded Amanda one evening as she typed furiously on her keyboard. That is just bad timing, she replied without looking up. Zachary is hosting a brunch for the team at his lake house. These are important networking opportunities, Boyd. A baby shower is just. Well, there will be other baby showers. I stared at her shocked. This was her only sister's first child. An event she had been excited about for months before starting at Elite. Before I could respond, she added, Jessica says that these formative months determine your trajectory within the company. I cannot afford to be seen as uncommitted. Her language changed along with her priorities. She began categorizing activities as either high value or low return. Family gatherings, old friends, and community events where we had volunteered fell into the latter category. Networking events, industry parties, and anything involving her colleagues were deemed essential. Our planned anniversary vacation to Maine became a battleground when an optional 3-day company retreat was announced for the same dates. We booked this 6 months ago, I argued, showing her the non-refundable reservations. Your contract guarantees personal time. Amanda's response chilled me. Boyd, you need to understand that technically optional events are actually mandatory for anyone serious about advancing. Tara specifically mentioned she hopes to see me there. For the first time, I put my foot down. Our marriage should be a priority too. We are going to Maine. The retreat came and went while we were in Maine, but Amanda was mentally absent, the entire trip checking her phone for updates and making constant excuses to step away for quick calls. Later, I discovered she had been texting Jessica hourly for updates, terrified of missing something important. My first direct encounter with her colleagues came at a company holiday party. Amanda had coached me beforehand. These are important people, Boyd. Try to talk about something besides construction, okay? And maybe do not mention that we shop at discount stores. The event was held at an exclusive downtown venue with waitstaff circulating trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres I could not pronounce. Amanda immediately disappeared into the crowd, leaving me alone by the bar. I eventually found her huddled with Jessica and 2 other team members, all of them hunched over a phone reviewing a presentation. Your husband seems nice, I overheard Jessica say later by the restrooms, not realizing I was around the corner. A bit provincial, but nice. Just remember what Tara always says. Domestic life is the enemy of exceptional achievement. You cannot prioritize both and expect to be taken seriously here. Amanda's response was muted, but I caught the gist. Boyd is supportive mostly. He just does not understand the demands of a real career. His job is so structured. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My structured job had supported us while she pursued her dreams. My provincial values had been hers too just months ago. Tara took a special interest in Amanda, often inviting her to exclusive lunches and industry events. A striking woman in her early 50s who had divorced 3 husbands and openly mocked traditional life choices, Tara became Amanda's new role model. After these lunches, Amanda would return with cutting observations about our lifestyle. Our house is really in a basic neighborhood, is not it, she remarked one evening. Tara says location is the first sign of a person's ambition level. We chose this neighborhood together because it was family-friendly and near both our parents, I reminded her. Well, maybe we should start thinking beyond family convenience. The good schools are nice, but we do not even have children yet. We are limiting ourselves prematurely. These comments multiplied until they formed a constant stream of criticism. Our furniture was outdated. My car was embarrassing. My wardrobe needed upgrading. Our vacations were unimpressive. Our friends were unambitious. With each criticism, I recognized less of the woman I had married. The financial strain became unbearable when I discovered Amanda had opened a secret credit card, accumulating nearly $15,000 in debt, buying designer clothes, expensive lunches, and status symbols to keep up with her colleagues. When confronted, she became defensive. "You do not understand the pressure," she snapped. "Everyone dresses a certain way, carries certain brands. If I show up looking like I cannot afford the lifestyle, I will not be taken seriously." The final straw came when Amanda skipped my father's retirement party, a milestone event we had planned to attend for months. My father had supported my career from the beginning, even helping us with our house down payment. His retirement was a significant family moment. That morning, Amanda announced she would not be attending. Something came up at work, a dinner with potential clients. Zachary specifically asked me to be there. "This is my father's retirement," I said, my voice tight with anger. "He has been planning this for a year. Your dinner can wait. That shows how little you understand my industry," she shot back. "These opportunities do not wait. If I am not there, someone else will take my place at the table, literally and figuratively. Jessica warned me, you might try to hold me back like this." The words hung in the air between us. "Hold you back? Is that what your colleagues have convinced you I do? They have shown me what is possible if I prioritize my potential over outdated obligations. They understand ambition in a way you never have." Our argument escalated until Amanda grabbed her keys and stormed out. "I am staying with Jessica tonight. I need to be around someone who gets it." She left me standing alone in our kitchen, surrounded by the home we had built together, wondering how strangers had managed to convince my wife that I was her enemy. For 7 days, Amanda stayed with Jessica, communicating with me only through terse texts about practical matters. Each night I moved through our empty house like a ghost, running my fingers over her books, her coffee mug, the throw blanket she used to wrap around herself during movie nights. Sleep evaded me as my mind replayed every conversation, searching for the moment I lost her. The third sleepless night, I called Amanda's former boss at Hometown Marketing. Linda had always liked me, and her concern was evident as I explained the situation. "I am not entirely surprised," Linda admitted after I finished. "Elite has a reputation in the industry. They do not just hire employees, they remake them." "What do you mean?" Linda sighed. "They target talented people from smaller firms, people with potential, but also with strong family ties and values, people they can mold. Then they systematically separate them from their support systems, convince them that their old lives are holding them back." 3 other former employees of mine went there. All 3 ended up divorced within 2 years. This conversation spurred me to research Elite strategies online. Beyond their polished website and press releases, I found disturbing patterns in employee reviews on job sites. Anonymous posts described a cult-like atmosphere, where personal loyalty to the company was expected above all else. "Work-life balance is a concept they mock openly," one review stated. "Prepare to be told that family obligations show a lack of commitment." Another former employee wrote, "They slowly convince you that success means abandoning everything outside the company. They call it focus and dedication, but it is really about isolation and control." When Amanda finally came home to collect more clothes, she delivered an ultimatum. "I need to know if you are going to support my career fully, without guilt trips about family events or complaints about hours. Jessica says a supportive partner would encourage my networking, not question it." "Do you realize you just told me what Jessica thinks a supportive partner should do, rather than what you think?" I asked quietly. Amanda's expression hardened. "Jessica has achieved everything I am working toward. She understands what it takes." "And what did Zachary tell you?" I pressed, remembering how often his name came up whenever difficult conversations arose. Amanda hesitated before answering. Zachary suggested I need to evaluate whether this marriage is serving my career goals or hindering them. He said sometimes hard choices have to be made about what stays in your life. The calculated coldness of this statement stunned me. So your boss is explicitly advising you about our marriage. Do you not see how inappropriate that is? We discuss everything as a team, Amanda replied defensively. They know about our arguments, your resistance to change, your constant pulling toward old priorities. The thought of her colleagues dissecting our private struggles, painting me as the villain in her career story, made me physically ill. But the worst moment came during dinner that night, as I made one more attempt to reconnect with the woman I loved. Remember when we talked about starting a family next year? I asked gently. Is that still something you want? Amanda set down her fork, her face unreadable. Tara explained that children are the single biggest career destroyer for women in marketing. She said any serious professional would wait until at least 40, preferably after making partner. And what do you think? I asked, my heart breaking. I think my colleagues understand my true potential in a way you never have, she answered coldly. They see what I could become without limitations. In that moment, looking at my wife's perfectly styled hair, expensive clothes, and the stranger's eyes that now looked back at me from her familiar face, I considered whether our marriage was truly over. Had I lost her completely to people who knew her for less than a year? Later that night, my phone rang. It was Lily, Amanda's younger sister. Boyd, what is happening with Amanda? She asked without preamble. She missed my baby shower. She has not returned. Mom's calls in weeks, and her last text to me said starting a family was a waste of my prime career years. Who even talks like that? This is not my sister. As Lily and I talked, a pattern emerged. Amanda had systematically withdrawn from everyone who knew her before Elite. Simultaneously, she had adopted not just the priorities of her colleagues, but their exact phrases and attitudes. It was as if she had been programmed with a new identity. Through Lily, I connected with the spouse of another Elite employee. Mark's story mirrored mine, with eerie similarity. His wife had undergone the same transformation, adopted the same language, made the same accusations about him holding her back. They were now separated. The company deliberately targets their personal relationships, Mark explained. They convince them that outside attachments are weaknesses. It is straight out of the cult playbook. That night I found Amanda in our spare room sitting on the floor surrounded by old photo albums. When she saw me in the doorway, she quickly wiped away tears. Just organizing things, she said defensively. Tara says clutter represents mental weakness. But I had seen the tears, seen her looking at our wedding photos, our honeymoon family, Christmases. Somewhere inside the corporate shell, my Amanda still existed. This realization gave me hope, and with it came determination. I would not attack her job directly, as that would only push her further away. Instead, I would help her see the manipulation herself. With guidance from a therapist specializing in undue influence and information from former Elite employees, I developed a strategy to win back my wife from those who had stolen her mind. My approach began subtly. Rather than criticizing her job or colleagues, I started asking thoughtful questions when Amanda repeated their perspectives. That is interesting that Tara believes family obligations show weakness. What do you personally think about that? Or I understand that is Jessica's view on marriage. Have you found that to be true in your own experience? These questions did not challenge her directly, but created space between their thoughts and hers, small cracks in the unified worldview they had constructed. I also began reminiscing about our shared dreams, without pressuring her to recommit to them. Remember when we volunteered at the animal shelter? You were so natural with those rescue dogs. Or I drove by that art gallery where we had our third date yesterday. They still have local artist showcases on Fridays. These memory seeds reconnected her to her authentic self without triggering defensiveness. I was careful never to frame these conversations as a choice between her career and our relationship. Meanwhile, I orchestrated casual encounters with people from her pre-Elite life. I invited her college roommate Diane for dinner when she was coincidentally in town. I suggested meeting her parents at her favorite childhood restaurant, since we all have to eat anyway. Each interaction exposed her to people who knew and loved the real Amanda. My research into psychological manipulation techniques gave me insight into what was happening. Elite Strategies was using classic methods: isolation from support systems, information control, creating dependency, and black and white thinking, where the company was always right and outsiders always wrong. Understanding these tactics helped me counter them without attacking Amanda herself. The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. Laura, an elite employee. Amanda admired, quit suddenly to take a position with another firm. Amanda came home visibly shaken. Everyone is saying such horrible things about Laura now, she confided. Yesterday she was brilliant and dedicated. Today Zachary is telling everyone she always had character flaws and questionable judgment. Jessica deleted all photos with Laura from her social media and told us not to maintain contact with her. I listened sympathetically, then asked gently, "Does that seem strange to you? That someone could go from valued team member to persona non grata overnight? It is just how business works," Amanda replied automatically. But I could see uncertainty in her eyes. "Is it?" I asked. "At my company, when people leave for better opportunities, we congratulate them. We stay friends. Is Elite the only place where professional relationships work differently?" This incident created the first serious crack in Elite's perfect image. Amanda began noticing other inconsistencies, how Zachary took credit for team successes but blamed individuals for failures, how Jessica's mentorship always seemed to benefit Jessica more than her mentees, how praise was used as a reward for compliance with unwritten rules. The decisive moment came when Amanda shared that Tara had taken her to lunch to discuss her 5-year plan. Tara said I should postpone having children indefinitely. Amanda said, her voice hollow. She said children are incompatible with true success, and that she regrets the 2 years she spent raising her son before sending him to boarding school. "What did you think about that?" I asked carefully. Amanda looked truly troubled. "I always wanted children. We always wanted children. When did that change? And who is Tara to tell me I should not have them?" This opened the door to a weekend getaway at her parents' cabin in the mountains, with one rule: no phones or work interruptions. For the first time in months, Amanda was fully present, disconnected from the constant reinforcement of Elite's messaging. On our second night there, sitting by the fireplace, Amanda broke down. "I do not know who I am anymore, Boyd. When I am at work, everything they say makes perfect sense. But here, away from it all, I feel like I am living someone else's life. I miss who we used to be." This moment of clarity allowed me to share what I had learned about Elite's manipulation tactics without accusation. I showed her the pattern of employee reviews, the stories from former staff, the psychological techniques they employed. I emphasized that she had been targeted because of her talent, not her weakness. "They saw your potential and wanted to harness it for their benefit, even if that meant destroying everything else in your life," I explained. "That is not because you were gullible. It is because you are valuable." Amanda spent hours reading through the materials I had gathered, recognition dawning in her eyes. "They isolated me from everyone who knew the real me," she whispered. "They made me doubt everything I used to value." How did I not see it? "Because they are experts at this," I reassured her. "And they did it gradually, making each step seem logical." The road back was not immediate or easy. Amanda requested a transfer to a different department away from Jessica and Zachary's direct influence. She began rebuilding relationships with family members who had been hurt by her absence and behavior. We started marriage counseling to heal the wounds of the past year. Most importantly, Amanda began recognizing the manipulation techniques when they appeared, developing immunity to their effects. When colleagues criticized her renewed family connections, she could see the control tactic behind their concern. 6 months later, Amanda found a position with a different company, one with genuine work-life balance and a supportive culture. The salary was somewhat lower than Elite's, but, as she pointed out, no amount of money is worth losing yourself. On the 1-year anniversary of our weekend at the cabin, Amanda sat with our families at her sister's house, holding her infant niece, while we all laughed about old stories. Looking at her natural smile, her relaxed posture, and the genuine warmth in her eyes, I knew we had fully reclaimed her from those who had tried to erase her true self. "I still cannot believe I almost threw all this away," Amanda said later as we drove home. "They had me convinced that success meant abandoning everything that actually matters. The most insidious lies are the ones that sound like wisdom," I replied. "They exploited your ambition and your desire to grow. There is no shame in having been manipulated by experts. Today, Amanda and I are expecting our first child. Her new company celebrated the news and offered flexible arrangements for her maternity leave. We have rebuilt our marriage on a foundation of honest communication and shared values stronger for having recognized how vulnerable relationships can be to outside influence. The most valuable lesson we learned was how to recognize manipulation, the isolation tactics, the us versus them mentality, the redefinition of values, and the conditional acceptance that makes people abandon their authentic selves. We now maintain clear boundaries between work and personal life, understanding that no job is worth sacrificing the relationships that sustain us. Has someone you love been influenced by a toxic environment at work, in a relationship, or even online? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story helped you recognize manipulation in your own life, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so others can find it too. Consider sharing it with anyone watching someone they love. Slip away to toxic influence. Thank you for listening to our journey back to each other, and remember that authentic connection is always stronger than manipulation when we have the courage to fight for it.